Welcome back, everyone. I'm Kalani, your host and teacher here at the Ukulele Club channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to be talking to you as a music teacher and also as a student. So this is for you as a teacher of students and also for you as a student. And I'm going to talk about learning chords and strumming together and separately, and give you some tips and pointers and advice about a sequence and a process that I think will make it both enjoyable and easy and effective. So let's get started. So let's talk about strumming first. What I do with strumming is I like to teach strumming separately from chording. Because when we play a song, if you think about all the things that we're doing, right? Playing chords, making chord shapes, playing the chords, strumming the strings, holding the ukulele, let's go back a little, holding the ukulele properly, strumming the strings, making the chords. Then we've got to remember the song form, when to change chords, what chords to play, and then the lyrics, melody, words. There's a lot to it. So what I like to do is, of course, have the big picture in mind. We want to get to playing the song, but we also sometimes need to break it apart into individual elemental components and just work on those. So the first tip I want to give you is work on strumming alone by itself. And what I do for that is usually I would mute the strings lightly and just use a muted ukulele to practice different kinds of strums. So let's look at a sequence of strumming, starting with the most basic, what I think is the most basic, and build up from there a little bit. And this is not a how to play a bunch of strums videos. I have other videos for that. But this is the basic beginning point. So first we listen to the ukulele. And I like to do the down strum with the thumb down, and have people start here. And I'm not talking about holding right now, but you can see how I'm holding it, and this is how I recommend other people hold and play the ukulele. So down strum with the thumb. And we can do a lot of music right here. Any pentatonic, C pentatonic song, we can sing right over this. So we can start here, and it could be lots of space, easy, or something a little more dense. All right, then from there, maybe it's an up strum with the pad of the index finger. And both of these work really well. I like this one, especially if you have somebody who's not able to hold the ukulele, or you want to give one of your students an alternative holding or playing technique. You can put the ukulele on their lap and they can strum towards them with their index finger. That works really well. Easy. So then you can combine those. Down, down, up, 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 down, 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 up. Whatever you want to do. So downs with the thumb, ups with the index. Then what I like to do basically for this is how I play most of the songs that I play, is I combine my thumb and index to where I'm kind of pretending I'm holding a pick, and then I use the nail of my index for down and the pad of the index for up. And that sounds like this. That works really well for me. I like not using a pick. I'm pretending I'm holding a pick. I prefer to not use a pick because then I can do things like this. I can go into finger picking. I don't have to pick up a pick or put a pick down. Nobody likes to put a pick down, especially when they're down already. So we've got some basic strumming, right? Strumming procedure there in terms of easy, medium, typical, and then you can move on from there and do plucking, finger picking, whatever you want to do. Let's talk about chording for a second. I get a lot of questions from my students, a lot of whom are music educators, who want to teach their students. But we're all students when we're learning, right, at first. And we have to understand that there's a lot going on. Like I said at the beginning of this video, there's a lot we're juggling, a lot of muscle memory that needs to be developed, calluses that need to be formed a little bit, and positions that need to be gotten into and out of. So what I like to do is recommend that when you're doing a song at first of all, do an easy rhythmic strum, like just downbeats, steady beat down with the thumb. And then you can practice moving. Actually, I'm going to talk about moving between chords because I have a whole chord sequence of what I think would be the most ergonomic sequence of teaching chords, aside from the musical application. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. Right now, I want to give you some advice on when to change chords and when to do strums and how those two things kind of intersect or not. So first of all, you can do strums, and then if you need a little extra time, you can just do a strum at the beginning of the measure that you're going to change. So the measure before the new chord. And in that measure, or maybe throughout the song, you can strum just the first beat of the measure. So something like this. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Right? Something like that. Now let me give you another alternative to that that's kind of sneaky but cool. And that is, you can still lift your fingers, change to the new chord. So, because we want to, here's the thing, you guys. We need to land on the chord on the beat, right? On the bar. That's the most important thing. So if we're going to put things in priority, number one is we need to execute the song form, right? Which means we need to play the new chord on time, on the beat. It's not worth trying to hold the old chord to the last possible second if we're not making it to the new chord. So what I suggest is priority is play the new chord, the next chord on time. How do we do that? Well, we can do what I just did, which is stop strumming and playing before the chord, so it gives yourself time. But we can also do a cheat, and here's where they overlap. Here's where strumming and chording overlap, and that is you can keep strumming, but just lift the old chord and move to the next chord, leaving yourself ample time. And most people aren't going to notice that much. The chord will go, of course, to open C6 or A minor 7, however you want to think of it. It'll go to this, but guess what? That's okay, especially in a song in the key of C, because really, going from C to C6 is almost, nobody's going to notice, right? It's almost the same chord. So if we're here, I'm going to let it shine, light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. See what I did there? So I completely abandoned the old chord. Sorry, old chord. You'll be fine, though. I have every confidence that the chord will be fine. So, yeah, in some cases it may be more noticeable, but here's what you do. You leave that chord earlier at first, and then as you get more muscle memory, as you develop more muscle memory, you just leave it later and later, but you still can bail on that chord even if you're still strumming. So let's take another example. Eensy weensy spider went up the water spout, right? But maybe I can do the eensy weensy spider went up the water spout. Did you see that? I'll do it again. I left the chord early and I kept strumming. Hardly noticeable. The eensy weensy spider went up the water spout. So, you know, this only had 2 strums. I only did the first one, and then I bailed on the second one. Now, is it the best representation of chording? No, it's not. But does it give me time? Does it help me relax and not freak out about going from G7 back to C? Which, incidentally, is not, it's not that scary compared to some chords, some chord changes. But it's an intermediate technique, right, that we can use to make it easier, make the music, I think, higher quality. Because to me, now, you could have a different opinion, which is fine, but to me, the most important thing is playing that new chord on time, right, and in time. It's not so important that we continue the old chord because guess what? We've already heard the old chord. We've been playing the old chord. Do we really need to play it right up into the end of the bar? Sure, ideally, but absolutely no, we don't. It's enough. We've already got it. We've got the chord. We can hear it. So that is a little, I don't know what we call that, no man's land strum, where you're just going to open strings. Another thing you could do is put something rhythmic in there, like a chunk strum, but that's a little more advanced, so we're not going to do that right now. So let's review. We've got a few strategies, which is playing on the first beat of the bar or steady beat, and then if you need to abandon strumming, you can do that before playing the new chord. We've got lifting the fingers and moving to the new chord early and continuing to strum. And those are our two kind of big strategies. So, and then of course tempo, slow down, all right? Don't hurt yourself with chording. So, that's what I have for you in this video. I hope that's helpful. Now, before we go, I want to talk about this sequence that I developed. And this is in the Ukulele Club multimedia resource at Teachers Pay Teachers, and you can get it there. I might make some videos on it, but it's all there already. So you can go look at that. And what I did in that is I took I teach about 13 or 14, 15 chords in that resource, because honestly, you can play, as you know, you can play a zillion songs with 4 chords, right? C, F, G minor, A minor, G7, A minor, C, F, G7, A minor, right? Those are 4 kind of pop chords. You can play a lot of songs. But I like to give my students and fellow teachers a few more chords so they can play in different keys. They can play way more music in different styles, different chord progressions, et cetera, et cetera. So we end up with about, 10 or 12 chords. There's really 10, I think, that are essential, but let's just say it's 15. All right, so what am I talking about when I talk about this sequence? Well, if you looked at chords out of their musical context for a second and just took the physicality of it, look at playing chords like exercises or a physical sport activity or something. If you sequenced them in order where you're building from the first chord, and I teach C7 first because that's all about ones, right? First finger, first fret, first string. That's, I think, the easiest chord to play. So I start there. If you built on that, let's say, well, let's do it. C7, index finger, easy, right? A lot of power there. Let's move it up one. F9 or easy F if we omit the G string. Now we're playing 1/5 songs. Let's move it up again. A7. All right? You can do a lot of 1-chord songs. But even with these 3 1-finger chords, we can do a zillion 1-chord songs. We can do 2-chord songs. We can do 1/5 songs. And then from here, why not just place that middle finger down on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Now we're playing A major, right? So that makes sense to go from A7 to A major. And then, wow, how easy is it to lift our index finger? And now we're at A minor. All right, so what we just did is what I think is the ergonomic way to teach chords. Now, would you jump to teaching A7 right away? Why? I don't know why. Well, I just showed you why. Because it's right there. So don't leave it, why leave it out? And there's a lot of other chords that people teach that are common chords, but they're not ergonomic. So it's always a balance. I'm not saying you have to teach all of your music dependent on the chord progression, but I think it's important to visualize and to understand that there is sort of a natural physical progression. And then what you can do is you can then make your curriculum choices and your musical choices based on both. What are the songs I want to play? But what's the natural chord learning physical progression that works for us as people, as humans, as learners? So I've given you that progression or sequence in the Ukulele Club multimedia resource. It's just another element. There's songs, there's reproducibles, there's printouts, there's exit tickets, all kinds of stuff there, curriculum development up there at Teachers Pay Teachers. But I just wanted to introduce that idea to you. As far as I know, I haven't heard anyone else teaching that. So that's another piece that you can incorporate into your own playing, your own learning, your own curriculum design, so that when you're teaching your students, you can make those choices for yourself and for them. All right, I'm Kalani. Thanks for sticking with me through this video. If you have, I'm sure you appreciate it. If you do, please show your appreciation by subscribing, hitting that like button, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss any new notifications when I post new videos. And if you'd like, see me over at kalanimusic.com and we can connect a little bit more. All right, thanks for watching.